Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins are at the center of an off-season storyline that's starting to gain serious attention. And no, it's not about Tua Tagovailoa's contract or who's leading the linebacker room. It's about tight end Jonnu Smith, a player who quietly had a record-breaking season and now finds himself in the middle of a standoff between value and valuation. After setting franchise marks for a tight end in receiving yards and touchdowns last year, Smith has every reason to ask for a new deal, but the Dolphins, like any well-run organization, are treading carefully. They know what Smith brings to the offense, especially in Mike McDaniel's system. But they're also staring at a tight end who's approaching 30, asking for a deal that likely exceeds the Dolphins' comfort zone. This isn't just about dollars, it's about timeline, fit, and a bit of pride from both sides. And then enters Drew Rosenhaus, a name that carries weight in Miami and the entire NFL. Smith's high-profile agent made his usual Sunday night appearance on WSVN7 Sports Extra and gave fans a bit of an update, though it felt more like a teaser than a reveal. According to the Miami Herald, Rosenhaus stated the situation has not been resolved but added that he expects it to get done by training camp. That's only a few weeks away, which could suggest that talks aren't entirely cold. Maybe both sides are just in a staring contest, waiting for the other to blink. And if you know how Rosenhaus operates, he doesn't say it'll get done unless he's got a good sense that the team's already close to caving, or at least moving in that direction. What makes this whole saga even more compelling is the mutual admiration between Smith and the Dolphins. The team has spoken glowingly about the tight end, and even quarterback Tua Tagovailoa jumped into the fray last week, telling reporters the team should 100% pay Jonnu. That's not just lip service. Tua knows what Smith brings in terms of reliability, versatility, and red zone presence. And coach Mike McDaniel, who rarely singles players out, made it clear he didn't envision this offense without Smith, so why isn't the deal done already? It might come down to contract length or structure. A raise might be easy to offer for 2025, but multiple guaranteed years, that's a harder sell, especially when the front office has its eyes set on future cap flexibility. Smith, for his part, is playing it smooth through Rosenhaus. He's not making headlines with holdout threats, nor is he firing off passive-aggressive social media posts. Instead, he's letting his agent do the talking, and Rosenhaus is making one thing abundantly clear. Jonnu wants to stay in Miami. This is his first choice, Rosenhaus said. He lives here. He played at FIU. This is his dream team. That kind of loyalty is rare in today's NFL. Smith could easily be stirring up drama, but instead, he's hoping things can be handled professionally, and you get the sense that if it were up to just the coaches and players, he'd already have a new deal in hand. But it's the front office that has to weigh emotion against numbers, and that's where things get tricky. The core of the problem is that Smith's current deal is laughably low by NFL standards, especially for someone who just had the best season of his career. He ranks 32nd among tight ends in average annual value. That's behind backups and unproven rookies. The Dolphins could double his salary without even denting their cap space too badly, but doubling a bargain still doesn't make it market value. And here's the kicker, even $8.4 million per year wouldn't put Smith in the top 10 for tight ends. Worse still, it wouldn't give him any security beyond this year, and at 29, soon to be 30, this could be his last shot at locking down a meaningful, multi-year payday. And that's the crux of why this negotiation feels like it's dragging. Miami may love Smith, but they might not love the idea of committing to him past 2025. They have younger weapons, a tight cap situation coming up with Tua's extension looming, and they likely didn't see Smith as a foundational piece long-term. Still, he proved last season that he's more than a role player. So maybe there's a middle ground, a one-year raise with performance incentives. Maybe even avoidable second year to make the cap math work. It wouldn't give Smith the security he probably wants, but it would at least reward his breakout campaign and give Miami time to reassess after the season. But what happens if no deal is reached? That's when the trade rumors heat up. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the only team that's been linked to Smith so far, and their interest seems to stem from both need and familiarity. After tight end Donald Parham Jr. went down with a season-ending injury, Pittsburgh jumped back into the Smith conversation. But the real link is offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, who coached Jonnu both in Atlanta and Tennessee. It's not speculation, it's history. The Falcons traded for Jonnu in 2023 after a disappointing stint with the Patriots. And that move worked out well. So the Steelers know what they'd be getting, a tight end who already understands their system and can contribute immediately. Still, the idea of a trade is more complex than it sounds. Miami doesn't want to just give Smith away. His value is higher than it was when he left New England. And even though tight ends don't usually bring in blockbuster returns, they're not going to ship him out for a 7th rounder again. At the very least, Miami would expect a mid-round pick or a depth player in return, and the market just isn't that deep. Smith isn't a 3-down tight end. He's a matchup weapon, a scheme-dependent piece. That limits his suitors. So unless the Steelers are willing to sweeten the pot, or another contender suddenly loses a T2 injury, there's a real chance this all circles back to Miami again. And here's the irony. All signs point to a resolution being the best option. For both sides, the Dolphins don't have a replacement on the roster who can do what Jonnu does. And Smith won't find a better fit or a better quarterback situation than Tua and McDaniel's offense. The fans want him back. His teammates want him back. He wants to stay. So what's left is the business side, and we all know that's where NFL dreams get complicated. But if Miami's serious about competing for a title in 2025, keeping continuity on offense matters. Smith may not be a superstar, but he's a glue guy. And losing him would create a hole that's harder to fill than people think. So here we are, counting down the days to training camp. Rosenhaus says it'll get done. The Dolphins are acting like they expect it to get done. Jonnu's quiet confidence suggests he thinks it'll get done. And yet, no pen has hit paper. Maybe both sides are waiting for the other to flinch. Maybe they're just ironing out final details. Or maybe, just maybe, they're waiting for one more team to come calling and shake things up. Either way, this is a storyline worth watching, because in the modern NFL, where rosters change overnight and loyalty is rare, Jonnu Smith's desire to stay in Miami might just be the glue that keeps this offense whole. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments, what's your take on the Fins this week? There's a growing storm brewing in Miami, and it's got fans buzzing across the NFL universe. Rumors are swirling that Tua Tagovailoa, the Dolphins' star quarterback, has requested a trade following a heated confrontation with none other than TYREEK Hill during a recent practice session. Sources close to the team hint that tensions have been simmering beneath the surface for weeks, and this altercation might be the spark that sets off a major shakeup in South Florida. Imagine the fallout if one of the franchise's biggest stars suddenly wants out. The ripple effects would be massive, not just for the Dolphins, but for the entire AFC East. Reports suggest the clash happened during a high-intensity drill where emotions ran high. TYREEK Hill, known for his fiery competitiveness and relentless work ethic, apparently pushed Tua a little too far, leading to a verbal exchange that escalated quickly. Insiders say the two exchanged harsh words, and the incident left the locker room atmosphere noticeably tense. It's rare to see this kind of friction in a team touted as Super Bowl contenders, which raises questions about the Dolphins' locker room chemistry and how the coaching staff is managing these star personalities. Tua Tagovailoa's camp is reportedly frustrated with the current environment. Sources indicate that the quarterback, who has battled injuries and inconsistency but showed flashes of brilliance, feels undermined and disrespected. This recent incident with Hill might have been the last straw, making him reconsider his future. In Miami, a trade request from a franchise quarterback is a seismic event in the NFL, one that could alter the Dolphins' rebuilding timeline and strategic outlook. The team is reportedly scrambling to contain the situation, but whispers of a potential trade are spreading fast. On the other side, TYREEK Hill's competitive nature is well documented, and some insiders argue that this clash is less about personal animosity and more about high standards and pressure to perform. Hill, a superstar receiver with a chip on his shoulder, might have been trying to light a fire under Tua, but it backfired spectacularly. The question now is whether this is a one-off incident blown out of proportion or a symptom of deeper issues in the Dolphins' locker room that could lead to more drama down the road. Adding to the intrigue, Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel has remained tight-lipped, neither confirming nor denying the reports. His silence has fueled speculation and media frenzy. McDaniel's handling of star egos and the team's chemistry will be under the microscope in the coming days. Will he be able to smooth things over and keep the squad focused? Or is the team on the brink of a public breakdown? The pressure on the coaching staff is mounting as fans and analysts alike wait for official word. Meanwhile, league insiders are already buzzing with potential trade destinations for Tua. Teams in need of a quarterback with his skill set and potential are reportedly monitoring the situation closely, ready to pounce if the Dolphins decide to move him. The rumors include big market teams and clubs looking to shake up their quarterback rooms. Meanwhile, Miami might leverage this situation to bring in new talent or draft capital, though it's unclear how they'll replace a player who has become the face of the franchise. In recent years, the ripple effects could extend beyond just the Dolphins' offense. Team morale and fan support might take a hit if this trade request becomes public and is acted upon. Miami has built a hopeful narrative around their young stars, and a sudden fracture between key players could derail that momentum. Fans are divided, with some sympathizing with Tua's frustration and others backing Hill's passion and drive. This internal divide is feeding the speculation and turning every practice into a potential headline. Social media has erupted as fans, former players, and analysts weigh in with opinions, theories, and wild speculations. Memes, hot takes, and breakdowns of past interactions between Tua and Hill are flooding timelines. This online buzz, while mostly speculative, is adding fuel to the fire and making the Dolphins' internal saga one of the most talked about storylines in the NFL right now. Every snippet of news is dissected for clues about what's really going on behind the scenes. In the midst of this chaos, the Dolphins face a critical juncture. Will they manage to reconcile their star players and refocus on the season ahead? Or will this rift signal the start of a major overhaul that could reshape the franchise's identity? The next few weeks will be crucial, with every practice, press conference, and game watched through the lens of this unfolding drama. For now, all eyes remain on Miami as fans wait to see if this rumor turns into reality or just another sensational headline. Whatever the outcome, this situation highlights the fragile balance between talent, ego, and team chemistry in today's NFL. The Dolphins, once seen as rising contenders, are suddenly mired in controversy that could define their season and franchise for years. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over, and if Tua Tagovailoa really is demanding a trade after that fiery exchange with Tyreek Hill, the NFL world is about to witness one of the biggest shakeups of the year. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up!